12 Central Time. Same time, new place. On Facebook at The Coles Brown Show and Black College Sports Network. Online at www.mybcsn.net and on the BCSN app available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
Five-star backyards, Yellowwood brand pressure-treated pine. If it doesn't have this yellow tag, you don't want it.
Now, you can live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant-quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Vanilla smoked sea salt seasoning is for seafood. The tarragon and fennel bring out the natural sweetness in seafood. I also use it in rice dishes, on yams, asparagus, blueberry pancakes, and believe it or not, chocolate chip cookies. Vanilla smoked sea salt adds a salty and savory component to sweet dishes that create a symphony for the tongue.
You see, Head & Shoulders has scalp shield technology, protects against flakes, even between washes. It's never not working.
Kind of like us. Number 15?
Never not working.
I don't like this one.
Me neither.
Let's get out of here.
Head & Shoulders scalp shield, never not working.
We are making the virtual HBCU experience available wherever you live through Stillman Online. We offer online degrees in business, criminal justice, psychology, and religion. Stillman also offers technology badges in cybersecurity and data analytics. You can participate in all student activities, fraternities and sororities, internships, graduation ceremonies, and much more. Apply for admission today at stillman.edu. Stillman College, where we prepare you for a different world.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
Whether it's advice on managing your anxiety or tools to help you stay grounded, Coping-19 provides a range of resources and self-care tips to help you cope with this pandemic. We can help. Find the resources that work best for you at coping-19.org.
Bounty versus the old family dish towel. Drying with a fresh sheet of Bounty leaves your hands cleaner than a used dish towel that can carry and redistribute food residue. So ditch the dish towel for better hand hygiene. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
One bite of 100% Angus beef ballpark frank, and you'll say, hello, summer. Oh yeah, it's ballpark season.
All right, hello and welcome to another live edition of the ONG Strike Zone. Brian Fulford here. That's Kelvin Rozier. And I'm sure at some point we're going to see the third member of the crew, Kofi Hemingway. We promise there's no homecoming hangovers on this show. And look at that. Speaking of Angel, there he is, popping in right on time. Kofi Hemingway, third member of the group. Fresh off of a fabulous experience, greatest homecoming in the universe, without a doubt, the best experience in the world. No matter what those other folks are doing in Greensboro and other places. Kelvin, how you doing, man? Have you fully recovered? Did you catch up on enough sleep? How you feeling today?
Do you ever fully recover from a FAMU homecoming? As best as I could. You know, I was actually pretty tame. Saturday was my day from dusk to dawn. Other than that, I didn't get out there. I guess that means I'm getting old. Now I cannot attest whether or not COVID has a homecoming hangover or not, because after I left him, what was that, Saturday morning, I didn't see him again, so I don't know. I got plausible deniability.
I can confirm I did see him. He was standing on 2 feet. He was grilling, doing a lot of grilling. I didn't see him after that. So, Kofi, let the people know how was your day. How was your homecoming, man? How you doing?
Homecoming was simply amazing. It's a sea of people. It's literally like FAMU has its own Essence Fest. Homecoming, especially like on Saturday. It is so much going on. It's literally so much. And, I literally had this, let me just share this with you. I literally had this, it's so many people. It's like if we literally had the screen set up the right way with those video boards, we could make like a Times Square or a Rattler Square somewhere on campus where I think that would be just crazy. We could literally do that with the sea of people, and do some kind of drop the apple or drop the snake or drop the orange or drop something. Well, sorry. Don't want to drop too much in homecoming. People take that the wrong way.
Oh, it was some drops.
There's some drops.
Pull it all the way. Pull it all the way. Pull it.
Hey, that's a great idea. Look, man, like you said, yeah, there were some, as you go around and you see everything happening on campus.
Every year, and this is in spite of the fact that, there was a lot of controversy over the Lotto or whatever her name.
Yeah. The artist, I don't even know the artist. I mean, if that was the controversy, I mean, gee, I guess that I didn't even understand that whole thing, to be honest with you, but I guess I'll leave that to the young folk, and the homecoming concert. But yeah, I think what I was going to say, Kelvin, is there's so many things going around. Kobe just mentioned the screens. Like, I guess that was something new they put up over at the Will Packer Amphitheater. But imagine, I don't even know if they showed the game on the screens, but like you said, I know that's one of the things we talked about in the back rooms with Marcus, is just what they could have done is sort of creating that fan experience that is just different than actually going into the stadium for those people who didn't go into the stadium. So yeah, there was.
I loved what they did with the track. I thought that was just absolutely amazing. I thought that was perfect. People had opportunity to go. I don't know what it was at the strike zone. But whatever they had going on at the track
day
was
party. Yeah, they
Yeah, it
had
was
day parties and stuff.
it was so cool, man. I really enjoyed that. Just watching it from afar, the vibe and seeing the sea of people. And my favorite thing to do as I'm sitting in the stadium is to always watch what happens on Perry Street throughout the duration of the game. And that really tells me how many people are really, really, really around during that particular time. Just seeing the thousands of people that are on Perry Street alone. And then you look around the parking lot and you see all the people that are tailgating. Then you look up on behind the east side and you see all the people doing the little concert and all the people that's on Wanish Way. And you can't see all the way down to Osceola, but that's packed. Just that whole area right there is just absolutely, amazing under FAMU stuff, man. So I had a good homecoming. It was cool.
nice. Yeah, there's so many parts to homecoming. I think that you can't experience it all. You mentioned the thing on the track, the day party. Shout out to my freshman class, 1992. I know they did something out there. I think there was some other classes. I think '02, '07. I guess anybody who was kind of in your 30s, 20-year, 25, 15, might even been some 10s in there. But yeah, everybody took a great opportunity to gather and do some stuff. And
It's a
you
whole
can't.
adult Disney World, bro.
Yeah, well said.
It's
Well
like
said. I mean
Vegas.
it. Hey, look, the parade. Even I mean, there's so many things that you take for granted, and I guess I should not do that anymore. I'll be honest. I'm confessing right here. So many things I've taken for granted over 30 years. Things that maybe you did when you were young that you regret, or things that you missed on. And then now that as an adult, things that you should kind of go and experience at least once every few years. And I just realized I think I had to take at least a half a week. I feel like I need to get up to Tallahassee probably on a Wednesday and just kind of make plans to be there like Wednesday through Monday. And maybe that's probably the way. I know everybody can't do that. I'm so used to coming in on a weekend for 48 hours and then getting out. But I think if you can get in on a Wednesday or a Thursday and spend 4 days, that's what you got to do. That's how you experience FAMU homecoming, right?
Yeah.
Right, Kelvin? I think that's
absolutely, man. And uh, can you remember some of the faces and names? I know it was good to see Dr. Lori, and
yes.
they were doing God's work for the university. Her and Kofi and others, and I'm sure they'll talk about that later. And then there were a couple of
Dr.
couples
Chavis
that
there.
came up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, there was a couple of couples that came up. What was his name? Buck. Nickname was Buck, wasn't it? One of them.
Look, I was gonna wait until after the break before we just gonna have to start planning it now so that it can happen. That's just right out the bat. All right. So hey, let's get into today's show. Loaded show today is Southern Week, the best rivalry in black college football, without a doubt. I don't care what else you say. I don't care what else is out there. This is the best rivalry in black college football. FAMU Southern. So it's Southern Week. A lot's on the line. We'll talk about that here in just a second. Let me remind everybody, folks watching us on Facebook and YouTube, we appreciate you. If you go ahead and hit that thumbs up button on whichever platform you're watching us. If you're watching us on Twitter, go ahead and jump over into the chat room on youtube.com/myjbn1, or you can simply go to the Facebook page at O&G Strike Zone on Facebook. Hit that thumbs up button if you would. Let us know. We appreciate it. Go download the Jericho Broadcast Network's app, MyJBN, MyBCSN. That's what you search for on the Google Play, and Apple App Store. Obviously, real quick, question of the day. Okay, obviously there's a $1.2 billion Powerball lottery happening tonight. So I don't know if you guys have gone already out and, you know, to take that little $2 that you might have bought a soda or a bag of chips and bought a quick pick. If that's not your thing, give that $2 to somebody else and tell them to play it on your behalf. But the question of the day, I'll go to Kelvin and Kofi, and then I'll put it out there as you'll see it scrolling on the bottom of the screen there. If you hit the $1.2 billion Powerball lottery, how much would you give to FAMU athletics? That's the
How much is the Powerball?
of the day. 1.2 billion with a B. 1.2 billion. Now you got to assume 40% of that's going to go to taxes, so you're probably walking away with maybe 700 million, something like that.
Yeah.
Kelvin, what about you? Now, hey, we can save it to the segment. If that's a loaded question, you want to take some time to think about it. We can answer the question at the top of the second segment, unless you got an idea that you want to throw out right now.
Oh, I've thought about this a lot. The only thing I would say is this: TBD, to be determined. It depends if they want my money or not.
What's the TBD based on?
It comes with some stipulations.
Okay, just give me one. Give me one good stipulation, because I bet you got about a dozen of them. But what's one good stipulation?
I choose what I want to give my money to. I don't need no counter offer. And I'm going to get professionals to put the whole package together. All they got to do is accept the package.
Okay. Kofi, interesting. Kofi, what about you?
Well, with that kind of money, I would do at least 50 mil. At least 50. Possibly 100 if I'm feeling real good. But like Kelvin, I would want this money to be earmarked specifically for different things. Yeah. You know, what's needed, you know, one would be for the now needs. The other ones would be for future, you know, in regards to facilities, as well as staffing the athletic department correctly. And then setting up, I want to say, a trust fund so that the money that's in there can earn on top of what's there. Even when we're not doing stuff, it's earning additional money. So I would like to see that happen, you know, so that, you know, we're not robbing Peter to pay Paul, you know, but I believe that something like that is going to happen sooner than later. And, oh yeah, we're in a season right now where there's a lot of opportunity for HBCUs. I'm just of the belief that you're one person away from your miracle, which is why it's necessary to treat everybody right. You never know. You never know who has the power to bless you. So,
or who,
I believe that we're in a season right now. What'd you say? What that boy say?
Or who comes in the power. You treat people right, and you establish those relationships regardless of what status they have, because you don't know statuses change, you know.
They change very quickly. You in one season, you be out the next. You know, treat people right. You know, and
that's why I threw that out there.
Yeah, treat people right, man. You never know. But yeah, man. I mean, fam, you could definitely get it. I just want to see us prosper. But I was saying, I believe that we're in a season right now where we need to capitalize and seize every single opportunity that's presented to us. You know, as long as it doesn't bring harm to the university or the brand, you know, there are going to be tremendous opportunities that are going to be available to us, and we need to be in position to receive or to even take part in those opportunities.
Well said. So we'll get to some of the some great responses that I'm seeing there on YouTube. I'll check and see what's coming in from Facebook as well. But again, I want to encourage you guys to drop your thoughts on there. Have a little fun with it today. $1.2 billion Powerball lottery. What would you give to FAMU athletics? And some great ideas about how you would give it too. All right, let's get into talking about the recap of the first segment we like to do in our show, where we recap the past weekend. We got two big events to kind of recap. Of course, we got the football team's win over UAPB, and then, of course, our volleyball team with a big sweep over the weekend. As it relates to the football team, of course, 27-6 was the final score. 14 consecutive wins in Bragg Memorial Stadium. I threw this out there before just trying to see if anybody thought of the previous long streak. Like, you know, what was the longest streak in the Joe era? I mean, I don't know. I haven't looked at the record book. I keep saying I'm going to go look at the record books and just kind of take that for perspective. But just a thought out there. Anybody has the time to do that, we'd love to hear from you. As far as the offense was concerned, running the ball was key. Great job by Gerald Thomas from the Tallahassee Democrat. Hit so many talking points in his pregame article about what FAMU needed to do. And I was in the press box with him, and he was pretty much on point and practically got the score correct too. FAMU needed to run the ball. That's what we did. 201 yards rushing in total. A.J. Davis with 108 on 18 carries, and I believe he was the newcomer of the week in the SWAC, was he not?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, newcomer of the week. And then, of course, had the X-Man, Xavier Smith, with his fourth consecutive game with a touchdown in Bragg as he and Musa connected 16 yards for a touchdown score on a beautiful run, a beautiful route, beautiful pass. And Smith finished with 9 catches, 94 yards, and a touchdown. That was probably the highlights offensively. Defensively, Dark Cloud defense, dominating performance, holding UAPB to 6. Technically, shut out UAPB, correct? Because their 6 points came on an interception. So technically, it was a defensive shutout. Let's see. The Rattlers held UAPB to 20 rushing yards, 193 total, 3 sacks. Isaiah had 2 of them. Kendall Bowler had his second interception of the season, and there we go. So let's go around the horns. What was your biggest takeaway from the game, Kelvin, and any concerns coming out of it?
My biggest takeaway is the defense. I think on the Dark Cloud defense, the last 4 games have kind of, believe it or not, gone under the radar. They are really playing superior ball. They held UAPB on the 200 yards total offense for the game. They completely dominated, so much so that we almost doubled the time of possession. Our offense had the ball almost double, a good 2/3 of the time. We had 500 yards of offense right at it, 2 yards short of 500 yards of offense. We were over 50% from on third downs. We only had 8 penalties for 63 yards. You put all those things together, and the score probably should have been 49-0, something around. We should have hit the 40-point mark. But of course, you asked about concerns, turnovers. We had 2 really hurtful turnovers late. We got off to a good start. First half was pretty, first quarter was a little slow, but we had a strong second quarter, put up 21 points, and then the second half, defense maintained their consistency. Offensively, run game still okay. We moved the ball some, but the turnovers. And so Of course, that translates to, when we play this week, Southern. They're a very skilled team. They're dangerous. They lost, in my opinion, a chance at it being competitive in that game in the first two drives. I mean, they hit the ball in the red zone twice, the first two drives, and they came out with 0 points. And then and against a team like Jackson State with their defense, which is elite, they have elite defense. If you don't put up touchdowns, you're not going to beat them. Period. Nobody. So after that, they kind of righted the ship and got some points on the board, and it was a done deal. So we'll see how it plays out this Saturday. I expect it to be a typical Southern FAMU game. It always seems to be close games, particularly when we win. And we've had the best of Southern over the last probably games. We probably have won about 7 of them. So this is a big game. This is our playoff game. We've been in playoff mode anyway, but this one right here will really, because we're almost ranked now. I think we two spots out of the rankings nationally.
Top 25. Yep.
Yeah, so it's a lot on the line. But in terms of Pine Bluff, it was a game that we expected. It wasn't supposed to be close. It wasn't really close. But we still haven't done those we haven't played a complete game 4 quarters with all 3 phases yet.
Kofi, what's your big takeaway from the game? Any concerns?
Defense, turnovers, and just untimely play calls. I'm all for trickery when it works. When it doesn't work or you turn the ball over, then it's looking like, why are you doing that? Especially when you have something that's working. The run game was really, really working well. There was no need to do a reverse pass from somebody that hadn't thrown a pass in their entire career. And I know it's last homecoming trying to, boost stuff and, give the guy additional looks, but it's really about doing what makes sense. Do what the defense, or take what the defense is giving you. They're giving you the running game. Let's stick with the running game. Let's continue to pound the rock. Let's wear the defense down until we get them all the way down to where they can't take it no more. Till they break their freaking will. That's really what Musa needs.
Probably our closest game where we played a complete game. I mean, obviously we had the interception.
I didn't like it. The turnovers is what rubbed me the wrong way in terms of completion, because knowing that this was a team, I know that they're not 59-3 bad, like when Southern beat them, but at the same time, we should have scored 40 points. And when you're not doing that, that means, just something in our system, something in our flow is off. So
I think we had three uncharacteristic. Well, I don't know if they were all uncharacteristic, but just 3 bad plays. I mean, obviously Xavier's throw. I just thought
it didn't work. The play did not work.
Calling didn't work. Right, it didn't work previously. It was the second time they tried to run it. I don't think they should have ran that.
That's HBCU good, is what you're saying.
Oh, stop it!
That's HBCU good. That ain't the standard. That ain't my standard.
It's 27 to nothing. It's 27 to nothing. Good. It's beating the team by 3 touchdowns. Good. That's what it is. That's what it was.
It's good. We covered our spread, but we left a lot on.
I mean, it's like playing the coach.
We covered 18. The spread was 18 and a half.
It's like playing the Indianapolis Colts, man. You beat a bad team.
That was dirty. That wasn't even necessary. All the teams out there you can pick on. Jacksonville Jaguars, Tampa Bay, all playing like poo, and you got to throw shots at the poor Indianapolis Colts. Okay, that's fine.
You a dog, man. You a dog.
That's,
I don't care what nobody
I
says.
got you. Yeah. So, hey, here's the thing. Okay, I know I asked this question last week about, FAMU's now moved up considerably as the second best team in most, or like we said, maybe you have one tier and then FAMU being the best of the rest. And I think one of the questions that I'm curious to find out is, have we seen outside of Jackson State, and I don't even think other than the Orange Blossom Classic, have we seen anybody play a game, or have we had any matchup live up to the hype? I mean, and what I'm saying is, in anticipation of FAMU Southern coming up, think about all the games where we've kind of spotlighted and looked at and thought about. Has any game really lived up to the hype preseason and after, as the game happened, and then we look at it post-game? Has any game on the Division I FCS level lived up to the hype this year?
No.
A couple of them. No,
I thought the South Carolina State game was.
Yeah, go ahead.
I thought South Carolina State game was, but we literally should have won that game at least 20-0. They shouldn't have scored.
Yeah, right.
We let them back in the game, and I don't know, bro. This is.
What are you thinking of, Kelvin? You said a couple thinking of.
Yeah, I thought a couple of the SWAC West top matchups were competitive and lived up to the hype. You got to remember, I'm a guy who said Southern and Texas Southern were the two top teams in the SWAC West. So, I'm right there.
Yeah, right there. All right, coming up on the other side of the break, we're going to do the quick SWAC roundup or SWAC recap from the past weekend. Get into talking about our volleyball team another dominating performance, adding 2 more sweeps to the bin, up to 24 consecutive wins now against SWAC opponents, and a big contest for them coming up this weekend. So it's a big weekend in Tallahassee for football and volleyball. We got to make sure we get out and support both programs with a lot of fervor, because these are big matchups. So we'll talk about that on the other side. You're watching the ONG Strike Zone. We'll be back in 2.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Majesty is a premium health and wellness tea line focused on bringing delicious yet healthy tea blends to the community. Filled with an abundance of vitamins and antioxidants, we work to blend teas with exotic spices and fruits to produce scrumptious and wholesome beverages. So check us out at mymajesties.com. That's MyMajesties.com. My Majesties, an Urban Passport member.
Let's get back to strolling instead of scrolling. Before we can safely come together, we need the facts on COVID-19 vaccines. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision for yourself and for your family.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's been difficult because I hadn't been able to see my grandchildren.
An expression on someone's face when you do something nice for them.
I miss all my friends in school.
Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision about COVID-19 vaccine.
All right, welcome back to the O&G Strike Zone. Brian, Kelvin, Kofi here. And want to remind everybody you can catch all of our shows on the BCSN Pod Zone. That's where the podcast, the audio version of all of the shows that appear on the Black College Sports Network are able to be downloaded. You can listen to them. You can just download and rate and review. If that's what you like to do, you can do that as well. Catch us on Amazon Music. So those of you who like to do the Alexa thing, just simply say, hey, Alexa, play BCSN Pod Zone. Bam. That right there, you're going to hear the show or shows coming up right there. So please make sure you support. Every view click is appreciated. You can even support the show. I know you're going to see the link down on the scroll. You can even hit the Cash App if you'd like to drop a note there, $ my JBN, my BCSN, and you can make a donation as well. You'll see we got some great content. Had a chance to have a correspondent go out and cover the Men and Women's Media Day, Basketball Media Day earlier this week. Shout out to Tyreek for going and covering that for us. So we got some audio. We'll put all that together and drop that probably on our Facebook and Twitter feeds here in the next day or two. I was hoping to try to get it for this show, but it's a little late. Quick update. Our women are playing an exhibition game, their first game of the season. Last count that I had, they were going into the start of the fourth quarter against University of West Florida with a 49-48 lead. That's happening. You can follow them on Twitter. I'm not going to make any, hey, it'd be great if this game were streaming online. I think everything we do should be streaming online. I'm just going to say it like that. Every piece of inventory that FAMU Athletics has and puts out should be streaming. I don't care if we've got professional broadcasters like me and other folks that we know, or whether it's student broadcasters. Somebody, somewhere should be streaming an athletic event. It should be on our site, but that, Rattler Sports Network, right? Okay, so SWAC roundup. Big game, college game day in Jackson, Mississippi, not Tennessee. The game didn't live up to the hype. I mean, you had number one in the East versus number one in the West. Southern gets shut out for the second time. Coming up in the second hour, we're going to talk to Carlos Brown of the Carlos Brown Show. He covers Southern. He is deeply embedded, and we're going to talk to him, get the Southern perspective of things. And second shot, what do you make, Kofi, of Southern's performance? I mean, we've seen, put it like this, we've seen Southern at their best during their 3-game winning streak. We've now seen Southern at their worst twice.
Let's look at this.
Tallahassee this week.
Let's look at this as well. I mean, Jackson State is a different caliber opponent. They're skilled, they're well coached, and athletically they're really, really good. So there's little margin for error. Alcorn is not who we thought they were. You know what I'm saying? They're not who we thought they were, even though they beat McNeese. You know, great. That's good, but they're not who we thought that they were. So consequently, even Southern's win over Alcorn doesn't necessarily look as good because everybody's beating Alcorn, including Grambling. So,
yeah,
you know, what exactly does that mean? You know, so, you know, yes, Southern is capable. Southern beat the crap out of UAPB, but that's UAPB. You know, so when they have to play really quality opponents who understand the scheme and what to do, they've had some issues, you know, from an athletic standpoint and, you know, in spite of everything. Now, the Prairie View win is their best win, in my opinion, because that one was on the road and Prairie View had not lost. But the other thing is Dooley had a really good understanding of the personnel that Prairie View had. You know, having coached that team for multiple years, that's an advantage to a coach to know the skill set of the people that you're going against. You know, he didn't have that going into the Jackson State game, you know, and consequently, you know, Jackson State's proven. You know, my thing is, because thing that is what I'm gonna stay on topic. I'm gonna stay on topic. I'm gonna stay on topic. I'm gonna stay on topic.
Thank you.
All right, but you know, just really with the Southern game, this is going to be a real litmus test to see exactly where they are.
Kelvin, your thoughts, if you want to jump in there.
I think Cody hit it right on the head. If you look at Southern wins and Southern losses, it's kind of tell the story of what Southern is, which bodes well for FAMU, frankly. They got shut out by Texas Southern. They got shut out by Jackson State. You know, they beat VUL. They beat Edward Waters. They beat a bad UAPB team. A mediocre at best Alcorn team, and you know, and was tied with Prairie View at the half and just had a good second half. They had one good half. That's all they've had against quality opponents, though. A good half. So we have to see how this translate. But we 7-8 games into the season, and so right now, what it says is that for me is that the SWAC West is a step below the top teams in the SWAC East. It was that way last year, and we'll see it. We'll see at the end of the season finishing up if it finished that way. But it was a dud. They had, like I say, they had opportunity early. They didn't do anything with it, and from then on, they never really were in the game.
Good point. The other big matchup, other team in the West that I think we all have to keep our eyes on, and we'll see this weekend, is Prairie View. They survived a shootout with Bethune, 58-48, a game that just went back and forth. I don't know whose defense stayed on the plane, but the offenses were legitimately scoring at will. I mean, every time I checked the update, somebody had a lead. And that's the interesting thing about the West. Bro, we were talking about this West. The West is really, I mean, Prairie View, they're in control of their destiny this week with the win, because they have the advantage that Alcorn and even Texas Southern, look, Texas Southern is sitting tied in second place, but all those other teams have to play Jackson State. Yeah. Guess who doesn't have to play Jackson State? Prairie View. So, I mean, Prairie View gets a win. Alcorn loses to Grambling State 35-6. I don't understand that, but it happened. Texas Southern 37-2. You guys still like both of you picked Southern to come out of the West, correct?
Yep.
Yep.
Still sticking with it.
And we were wrong. You know, it still could happen, but again, let me just say this. Southern is still a good team. Grambling also, I believe, when we caught Grambling, they were starting to put their formula basically together. We still should have beaten them thoroughly than what the score was. A lot of what they did made us look real suspect. But they got good athletes, and they've got good coaches. And now they've got a quarterback that doesn't turn the ball over, that's giving people extra possessions and opportunities to score points. And so when you get a team that's not giving away points like that, they become much more difficult to beat because you got to earn your points. That's the mark. I think Grambling has turned the corner, and they're going to be a tough out for everybody that they face on down the schedule.
Hey, Brian, to your point, with Prairie View being in the driver's seat, now they got Alcorn Friday, and they got to win that game. But if they do win that game, they end the season with Pine Bluff and Valley. So
Should be wins. Should be. But
if they do what they need to do this week, then yeah, they'll be in the driver's seat. But you got a wounded Alcorn team coming in on the road that is desperate. So we'll see how they handle that.
And how crazy is this that Alcorn, if they somehow wake themselves up and shake off whatever's been going on the last 3 to 4 weeks and get a win, they throw that whole West into chaos. I mean, it's a brand new game for everybody. Everybody has hope if Alcorn wins, and that's really what will be interesting to see about Saturday, because that game is Friday, and I think it affects our game because Southern's mindset changes if Alcorn wins that game, does it not? I mean, look, we understand it's a rivalry, but you got to think guys are a little more juiced up, knowing that okay, the conference that we're back into having a shot at winning this thing now that Alcorn's done their job and they beat Prairie View. So pay attention to Friday night, folks. Friday night will have an interesting effect on Saturday's game, not just for our game, but I think the Texas.
I don't know about that, Brian.
You don't think so?
I don't know. They just came off a tough game against Jackson State. They was up for that game, and they got mollywopped. It's tough to get back up again, back to back like that. It was gonna be tough for them anyway in Bragg, but I don't know if whether you have something to play for or not. I just think emotionally and physically it's gonna be tough for them to be at their peak again, but we'll see.
Okay, we'll see. Magic City Classic drew 67,000 plus. Alabama State 24, Alabama A&M 17. Congratulations to everybody in Alabama, because look, that's a stadium where they played in Legion Field that they're asking the question now, do we take that game out of Legion Field and play it downtown at UAB Stadium, which is 42,000? You're shaking your head, Kofi, but that stadium, Legion Field, is not being used except for that one event. So it's like somebody's got to come along and figure out how to make some use out of that stadium to keep that thing there. I wouldn't want to get rid of it. I don't know, that's an interesting dilemma for folks in Alabama.
Yeah, it's not my problem.
Right, so
I don't want to. Yeah, it's not our problem.
Right. Sure.
So, yeah, I don't have to figure that one out. I know what I would like to see happen, but it's not my problem. That's between them. That's Alabama State A&M problem. They'll figure it out, and wherever they do it, it's fine. But it seems crazy to have to turn away 20,000 fans unnecessarily. That's crazy.
Yeah. Hey, I saw a couple messages here on YouTube before we get into volleyball. Bull is who we met, Kelvin. Bull, I don't remember what you said earlier at the beginning of the show. But our guy Bull is who we met.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Okay, just I don't recall what you said, and we're just gonna keep moving.
There you go. I said bull. That's what I said. I said bull.
Yeah, he and his wife. So I mean, they listened to the show.
Yeah.
So that's what's up. Hey, my guy Tony said, did you guys experience any problems with the cell phone coverage? I guess AT&T and Verizon. I don't know. I had T-Mobile. I was doing okay, 5G everywhere. But did you guys experience any issues?
Absolutely. When you have large crowds like that, those towers get oversaturated and don't have the you can't get the data you need. It happens at almost all events that have large crowds. I know across the track they have the same issue when everybody gets in the same location. So yes, cell service was an issue and always
How
is when the crowd gets that big.
How realistic is it? AT&T is a major sponsor. I see their signage everywhere at Bragg. How realistic is it for AT&T to bring in temporary towers? Is that something that's realistic?
It's happened before. It was arranged through I think our IT team once where they had a tent and everything, and they brought in the temporary towers for a homecoming event. I would like to see something more permanent in terms of technology around the stadium, but there's some costs with some of that. But like I say, it's a common thing, even at pro stadiums, even at Power 5 stadiums. So it's kind of what you deal with.
Gotcha. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. We got a tight ball game there in Tallahassee, 2-52. Our women are taking on University of West Florida. That's a Division II team, but it was a team that was 19-6. I believe it 19-8. I think was the record last year. And so 10 and 13. No, what I write? I wrote the notes down there. What I say? 19-8, 13-6 in conference last year. So a pretty decent West Florida team compared to a team that went 3-25 from a year ago. So you got a close ball game. Hopefully the women can hold on. Let's talk about another set of Lady Rattlers. That's our volleyball team coming back from Baton Rouge over the weekend with a sweep in the second SWAC cluster, which featured Southern, Texas Southern, and Alcorn State. We won all of those matches 3-0, 3-1, and 3-0. So again, add 2 more series sweeps to the total now, which is now at 10. So the Lady Rattlers have 10 sweeps this year, 12-0 in conference, 15-11 overall record. 24-game win streak. The ladies are playing real well right now. I haven't seen anybody seen the SWAC honors yet. Anybody seen the SWAC honors come up yet for volleyball? They usually come out on Wednesday. No. Okay. On Sunday, 4 o'clock, they take on Alabama State. Alabama State is 15-13 overall, 12-1. Alabama State is the only team that has lost. They've lost. Their only losses to FAMU. First game of the season, we were down 2-0, rallied to win the last 3 to beat them 3-2. They will be charged up, ready to beat us and end the streak. And I feel like Alabama State is playing that role of Jackson State, where, last year that was the only team that could sort of hang with us. And so I think this year it's Alabama State. So that is a 4 p.m. game in the Lawson Center on Sunday. And then on Monday at 6 o'clock, they take on Alabama A&M. That should be a win. Alabama A&M is only 6-7 in conference, 7-22 overall. Any thoughts there, Kofi, you want to add regarding women's volleyball before we transition?
Not at all. The team is, my message is the same. All of this is great. I want to see us obviously continue, maintain the streak, stay on fire, continue to play good, solid ball. But it's all about the tournament for me. We've got to continue to push so that when the tournament comes around, we'll be ready to win it and be in the postseason. That's what it's all about. Tournament or bust for me.
Tournament or bust. Tournament, but yeah, because only one team is going to get in. So to the NCAA tournament. So that's it. Kelvin, anything you want to add about women's volleyball?
Well, we at the finish line. We finished at home. This team has been road warriors. So we got the Alabama schools this upcoming weekend. Then we got the Mississippi schools the following weekend, and then we have the SWAC tournament, Florida Classic weekend. So we're there. We're there. We're undefeated. We need to go into conference play undefeated. And I would tell you that mentally, a lot of teams, when they play us outside of Alabama State, you know, they mentally are defeated already because I mean we're on a 21 game SWAC winning streak. You know, we got all these accolades, so we just have to continue to be consistent, stay hungry, stay humble, and you know all our goals that coach talked about at the beginning of the season, at the middle of the season are right there for us to have. But we got 4 home games. We need the students and all the local folks to come support the team.
Well said. Yeah, we need a great showing for these Final Four games. I mean, this team has been road warriors. I think other than that one weekend series, that's all they've really had at home in the non-conference. But they have, I mean, they're doing a great job. I mean, this is a championship team, championship program. We've got championship ballers. We got to support. So I'm hoping everybody gets behind this team. I hope we get the video coverage. I'd love to see some play-by-play. You know, hey, give me a call. Somebody out there at FAMU, give me a call. I'll come up to Tallahassee. I'll do some play-by-play on volleyball. Whatever, you know, we gotta hype this up, man. We gotta make sure we show these ladies some love. All right, when we're talking about the women's schedule, I know let me see them. We got briefly talking about basketball scheduling last week. Well, this upcoming weekend, actually beginning on Monday, starts the college basketball season. So our men are traveling out to the West Coast. We talked to Coach McCullum last week, taking on Oregon, toughest non-conference schedule in America. Show me somebody else who has 8 Power 5, was it 8 or 9? Maybe 9, but show me somebody else in America who has the level of Power 5 teams on their schedule like us. They should easily be raising, I'm going to say clearly 750,000, just shy of $1 million on the road. The men are. I'm just putting that out there. And so home games were announced. November 21st, Monday, November 21st against Albany State, and Tuesday, December 13th against Edward Waters. Those are the 2 home games for the men. The Edward Waters game should be interesting. I've followed that program for the last few years. That'll be a good matchup on December 13th. For the women, their home games again begin on November 15th. That's a Tuesday against Georgia Southern. December 3rd against Sam Houston, and December 12th against Tuskegee. That too will also be a good game. The women have Power 5 matchups against Florida, USF, Michigan State, Mississippi State. They travel out to Cal. What'll be interesting to see, guys, we play teams like Eastern Michigan, University of South Alabama, Jacksonville. It'll be interesting to see, are we good enough to be competitive and maybe even win those games? You know, who knows? I would like to think that maybe we could. You know, that'll be the challenge.
Really, you know, the thing is, you know, when we played the University of Florida, it really came down to size. They were just bigger, stronger than where we were, and it makes a huge difference in a sport like volleyball. You know, that height, getting it over the height, you know, trying to force a team to move that has that great length to cover all the zones that currently aren't being covered in the with the teams or with the opponents that we're having to face on a daily basis. So it's just it really comes down to matchup, but you know, let's win the Powerball so we can elevate all of our athletic teams.
Yeah, definitely. $1.2 billion. That's the question of the day, folks. If you hit that $1.2 billion Powerball lottery tonight, how much would you give to FAMU athletics? I am co-signed on saying I will be giving 10% to my favorite universities. Ain't but two of them. One of them will be getting 75% of that. And I don't even know if I want to have a name on a building. That's not me, to be honest with you. That's not me. I got a friend that I would rather put his name on a building than mine, because I know he loves FAMU football. You know what I'm talking about, Kel. I would put his name on a building over me. I swear, I honestly would, just so I could always see his name on that building. But yeah, there'd be a lot of facilities around FAMU athletics if I hit. So I'm just letting folks know. All right, we're talking Southern on the other side of this break with Carlos Brown, the one and only. He covers Southern University like none other. He is the host of the Carlos Brown Show, which airs every Saturday at noon Eastern, right here on the Black College Sports Network. We get into chopping it up with Carlos. FAMU Southern, the greatest rivalry in Black college football. We're talking about it next on the other side. You're watching the ONG Strike Zone. We'll be back in just a moment.
The Sweet and Smoky Salmon Rub infuses smoked black pepper with dehydrated maple syrup, pink Himalayan salt, ginger, thyme, mustard, and more to make a sweet, savory rub, perfect for salmon, trout, and other delicate seafood.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
HBCU League Pass. Watch your favorite black colleges. Some of the best players in the land. HBCU League Pass. It's game time. I'm proud and I love my HBCU. HBCU League Pass. Watch your favorite black colleges. Some of the best players in the land. HBCU League Pass. It's game time. I'm proud and I love my HBCU.
Some carriers will give you just one measly entertainment subscription. One is no fun. With Verizon, there's up to 7 entertainment subscriptions with your unlimited plan. That's 7 times the... 7 times the... No. 7 times the... Music, gaming, Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus, and more. That's 7 times the entertainment! Because everyone deserves better. And with plans starting at just $35, better costs less than you think.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
I'm returning to Clinton Paris, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt.
All right, welcome back to the ONG Strike Zone. Brian Fulford, Kelvin Rozier, Kofi Hemingway. It's a pleasure to be joined by Mr. Carlos Brown, the host of The Carlos Brown Show, which airs right here on the Black College Sports Network every Saturday, noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. Carlos, how are you doing, my friend?
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm doing well. Look, I'm still recovering from last weekend. I'm not a spring chicken anymore in my 20s, but boy, electric atmosphere. Southern came out on the short end of the stick, to say the least. So, hey, but still, you can't beat ESPN Game Day, and this rivalry is so intense. I'm telling you, it's a healthy dislike, because at the end of the day, we all support HBCU, so it's a HBCU family. But boy, Southern and Jackson State fan base, and I'll throw FAMU in there as well. Arrogant, cocky, and confidence. Not a bad thing. Not a bad thing.
Agreed.
Well said. Well said. Hey, look, it's interesting for both of these teams because here, FAMU players and the fan base is coming off a homecoming. Southern players and fan base is coming off of Jackson State, and now both teams are coming into this, and it's like, yeah, we might be tired, but it's like we got to suck it up and find the juice for this contest. Before we talk about this, let me ask. I got to bring up the Jackson State game. What do you make of Southern? I mean, I thought Southern was playing their best ball coming into this Jackson State game, and they had lost. They had lost what? They got shut out by Texas Southern, which totally shocked everybody. Now this happened. I know it's a different caliber. Jackson State is a different animal, so to speak. No pun intended. But what do you take of
Tiger.
what you saw on Saturday?
Well, I would I would categorize this as in the Texas Southern football game, missed opportunities, but specifically Saturday, missed opportunities. Here's why. I was there. Jackson State went for 4th and 1 at their own maybe 29-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
Southern stopped them.
Yeah.
Then it was another time they went for a 4th down. Southern stopped them, but they could not capitalize on a short field. Now, possibilities are 14 points, the most, minimal, 3. In between both of those points, 2 field goals, 1 was blocked, 1 was missed. So those were the opportunities. Defensively, and you can look at the stats for those who, believe in those stats. In the second quarter, it was 0-0. Southern defense played well. The offense was missing in action. And guess who's the offensive coordinator? Eric Dooley, who's also the head coach. Didn't understand some of the play calling. Look, you can't take anything away from Jackson State's defense. They
Right.
are really, really good. They believe in bringing 8 men in the
Pressure.
box and bring one more person than you can block.
Right.
And for the
Yep.
life of me, I don't understand how Southern was still trying to go deep. You didn't have
Right.
time. What
Yep.
about your
Yep.
backs coming out, slants, curl-ins? But anyway, 35 to
Kelvin, go
Agreed.
ahead.
0.
Fire.
I'm not shocked that Southern lost, but I was shocked by 35 points. And I know you guys may disagree. I don't think Jackson State is 35 points better than Southern, but the scoreboard said 35 to 0.
Well, let me say this, and I
Mhm.
do agree with you. But many times I'm a Miami Dolphins fan, and we're in the same division as the Patriots. So the first game when we were, I think, the tank for 2 a year, we didn't have anybody. We were just getting started. This was Flores' first game. He's playing against Bill Belichick. We lose that game after trading everybody away by thousands. It felt like thousands of points,
Wow.
And we come back at the end of the freaking year with New England having a playoff game on the line in New England, or home field advantage on the line, and the Dolphins come out and beat them. And it's like, this is the same no name team that found a way to compete, not only compete, but beat Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and prevent them from having home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And then that next round, the Titans come in and beat them. My point is, the coaching in the SWAC has to go to a different dimension and level, because obviously the Jackson State team is seeing something that our coaches and the other coaches in the SWAC are not seeing. And it's not necessarily that much of a differential in talent, but it does have something to do with how you get your players to play and where you place them and how you play them. And all of that matters, man.
Well, you know who's the most valuable coach on Jackson State staff to me, and he's put together, Coach Sanders, a great staff. The defensive coordinator,
Yeah.
outstanding. He
Herman.
has a philosophy, and I'm telling you, they have played very well. If coulda, woulda, shoulda. If Southern would have scored, say, a touchdown and a field goal, 10 points, does it dramatically change the, the complexity of the game?
Outcome.
Yeah, but you never know. I just disappointing from an offensive standpoint. And then if you look at the stats prior and to after the game, who's 1 and 2 in just about every statistic? Jackson State 1, Southern 2. So you guys were talking earlier about maybe the hype, it didn't build up to the hype. I can understand that, but I'm pointing all the fingers, all the blame to the offense, and then special teams had a blocked field goal. But I think they'll be ready to spot the ball this upcoming Saturday, because it's a lot at stake still with FAMU. And I think Brian was talking about Alcorn and Prairie View. That's a big one Friday. And again, I try to bring the correlation with the last time Southern did not score any points. They came up big time against Prairie View A&M, who, by the way, they're the only conference loss. So this thing could get real tricky. And that's the word I'm using. I wanted to use another word, but in the Western Division. But I tell you what, you guys, I was listening to the Eastern Division. You say it's much better from top to bottom over the
I
Western
didn't necessarily.
Division.
Well, Bethune-Cookman is at the bottom, and they put 48 on Prairie View.
Yeah,
In Prairie View.
and that's a valid point. But I'm thinking one is clear cut. One is the best Jackson State, the best team in the conference, right? I think everybody would
Right.
agree with that.
Yes.
Who's a strong number two?
FAMU
And
right now.
it could be right either division. So that 3 and 4 and 5, I think that's where the West may have a slight advantage. Who is the toughest number two in the West? Because I heard you saying Alcorn is overrated. Didn't live up to their predictions. And by the way, Brian, I think you had Alcorn number one in the predictions coming into the season, right?
Wow.
Yes,
So
yes. I also
don't.
had FAMU winning, so yeah, I know.
Well, but you know what? There are
Texas
some
Southern.
internal.
Answer your question.
There's Texas Southern. I don't think they're the second best, but they're tied for number two right now, right? With Southern, and
Yeah.
they have the tiebreaker against Southern, right?
Right.
I'm sharp. You're not gonna out trick me there. But no, it's good to have these discussions though. They're great,
Right.
man. Sometimes you have to agree to disagree, but
Yeah.
that FAMU game, boy, the memories coming to Bragg Stadium, boy.
So what's your
I've been there
favorite?
twice.
What's your favorite FAMU Southern memory?
Well, I have two. I wasn't there when Southern won and the sprinklers were turned on. I was told about that, but I'm gonna go back a little bit further. It was homecoming, and Southern was undefeated. I'm not sure if FAMU was
93.
undefeated.
93.
Okay, yeah, you're a little younger than me. You can remember the dates, but I know Tom Joyner was there. It was FAMU's homecoming, and the crowd was packed around coming out the field house. I think Southern Band had to get their seats back. Just electric. And final score, FAMU 33-3, if I'm not mistaken, over Southern University. That was my first trip there, and you know my thoughts were, this campus, this atmosphere reminds me of Southern. You know, that was my first time there. Then the next time, Gulf Coast
Oh, that was
offense,
97.
Jockey Nunley, Coach Richardson came out and said somebody's going to get embarrassed. Somebody did get embarrassed. I think it was 65-18, and I was part of the
Right.
Southern radio broadcast, and I'll just mention his name. Brian, you know me. James Verrett, who now does some work for SWAC Digital Network. He was the play-by-play guy. He was saying, let's rally around the radio, Jaguar Nation. It's not over. Yes, it was over. I think it was 28-0 at the first quarter. So those are my two experiences at Tallahassee. But now at A.W. Mumford, I was a part of a 50-48 game and a 50-49 game. And what's special about that, and then I promise to be quiet. Southern they were working on their new press box. So they had a makeshift one out. So I'm sitting out there, and then some of FAMU's grad assistants were like, if I look over there, they were close by, about 5 or 6 people length away. And Southern called a particular play that I had seen early in the season, and I went, touchdown. And the grad assistant looked at me and was like, oh, this guy must be nuts. He's not a football coach. Southern scored on there. It was a 4th down and 2, a tight formation. Torrey Ingram scores on like a 58-yard touchdown pass. Nevertheless, FAMU came back and won that game. Where's Jockey Nunley? I'm still looking for him.
He's in
I
Miami.
mean, oh my goodness. Oh, and
Nightmares.
let's see, number 4, Cannon
Canaan
Lamb.
Lamb.
Aiden Lamb. Yeah.
I remember him, and I can't remember. It was about several of them, and then a big quarterback. It looked like he was about 6'2",
Quinn Gray.
225. Yeah. So, you know, it's been some disappointments, but again, a great rivalry.
Kelvin, what you got? Jump in there.
So I know you was listening earlier, so I'm interested in your take on a couple of things that we mentioned. One about Southern being able to get back up after having to get up for Jackson State, just having a gauntlet really the last 3 weeks in terms of, you know, what do you think their energy would be? I know they're excited about the game. It's a rivalry, like you say, but but just that thought process. And then the other one is a little more nuanced. How do you think this imbalance of the schedule has impacted Southern's team? And what I mean by that, they played VUL and Edward Waters and LSU, which, you kind of knew those results before they even scheduled those games. And then you had the conference games where you got two shutouts. It was beat silently, and then you got the wins. So, how do you think? What do you think about the team at this point in the season?
Well, first of all, I will say they will have energy because to its FAMU, strike, strike. You don't have to say anything else. They'll be up for that game too, depending on Friday night, or even if it doesn't. If Alcorn can go in and see, this is the thing when you got to have someone to help you out, then Saturday game brings about more importance. It's important anyway, because if Southern doesn't win the West, you're still trying to play for next year. So I think their energy will be there. I think they're going to be disappointed because offensively, it's one thing if you would have given your best offensively
Right.
and you lost. That's one thing, but to get shut out, and I like how you brought it up, and Kofi brought it up as well. But I can get on here and say, well, they were in the red zone 4 times, didn't do anything against Texas Southern. They didn't. You get in the red zone and you don't. And by the way, I like to call it the man zone because that's when it gets tough. But I think their energy is going to be there. And I'm kind of looking at some of the stats. I didn't know FAMU was last in rushing. And Southern, literally, go back and look at the stats. No one has held Jackson State to the yardage that they got that happened last Saturday. And for Jackson State, I think if you look at it, I think they put together one long drive. Shador scored on a 42-yard, a 46-yard run, 46-42. The defensive end lost containment. But just to say that they came in and ran the ball down Southern's throat, no. The lowest yardage output by Jackson State this year came last Saturday. So a lot at stake for Saturday's ball game.
What about the schedule? The mixed results thus far.
I didn't answer that one. Excuse me. I apologize. I don't like the Edward Waters and the Virginia Lynchburgs on the schedule, but it's an opportunity for Southern to play a lot of extra players, second team, third team, and Coach Dooley talked about it. He made a mistake not playing against Florida Memorial, playing Bashawn McCray in that game. But I mean, you can't judge the team off of though. They got to play who's put on the schedule, and that was important by the director of athletics, Roman Banks. There, hopefully, it will be better this upcoming season. But you guys were talking earlier. Prairie View probably is their best win, if you can put it that way. And then you score 17 points against LSU, albeit a pick six, a field goal. So they were able to move the ball. That's why it's so disappointing that, they didn't score any points against Jackson State. So let me ask you this. Is Jackson State defense better than LSU? Of course not. But they're really good. They're really good.
Hey, I've seen a couple people talking about, and this is on the message boards or on a YouTube chat, about whether this is a rivalry for FAMU. I feel like this is one of our top 3. I don't know whether, we can, I feel like this, besides Bethune.
I want to hear what Kofi has to say on that one.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. But I think this is one of our 3. And if you had to say 3, for Southern, Carlos, we understand the Grambling there. We understand Jackson State, probably in the top 3, those 2. Where does FAMU fit for Southern? How do Southern fans view the Florida A&M game?
Well,
I mean,
I'm
these
probably
are
have
2
to
teams
check.
that have played let me just throw this out there. Overall, these teams have played. I believe the number is 61 times. 34, 26, and 1 is the overall record. So I mean, that 60 times is let's not poo-poo that. That's a lot of times, especially when we've never been in the conference outside of this now being the second year. We've never been conference mates. So that's pretty significant. I just wanted to put that out there. Go ahead.
Well, it's important to recognize the raw numbers, and I remember when they stopped playing for a while, and that's why I was so elated when FAMU got the invite and they accepted. Courtney Gaucher and all those involved to come in the conference because it's a long series. I just because I think because it's Florida, Louisiana, I'm going to say they're number 3, and you just gave me an idea about a poll question. I would have to say number 3. I'm tempted to put them at number 2, and as far as Southern, and I speak for myself. Jackson State actually would be number 1, the intensity, and Grambling. And this is the part where I get in trouble. I get emails and people that's older than me saying, "How dare you, Grambling?" No, I would say Grambling's number 2. But I'm very tempted to put FAMU number 3. Now maybe after Saturday, because last year they came to Mumford and they defeated Southern University. So, but 1, 2, 3 in that order: Jackson State, Grambling, and FAMU.
Right. Kofi,
Well,
any thoughts on that? And then go ahead with a question or whatever.
No, I mean, just for us, just as a Rattler, I know, our top 3 rivals, it's Bethune, Southern, and Tennessee State. Honorable mention would be South Carolina State and Jackson State. But in terms of top 3, in terms of we got to be there, we don't like them. They talk all that noise and XYZ, and then when they not there, you be like, where they at? Why we ain't playing? We need to play. In terms of band, I marched in the band. There was no other band that got our attention quite like Southern University got our attention and focus, and our director's attention and focus. Everybody else was kind of like, you get the rah-rah, you get it, but you knew when you played Southern University that you were going to have to be at your very best. And, the ideas and the different things that would flow out of that. But more importantly, it's just the fellowship, and the feeling. I remember my first, the first time that I witnessed the game. My mom's first teaching job was at Southern University.
Wow.
And she went to Alcorn. My aunt, Evelyn Albert, taught at Southern University for years, and she taught English. So I'm very familiar with all of that. And but my first real foray with Southern University, interaction with Southern University fans, was in 1981. We were playing them in Bragg Stadium. It was FAMU's homecoming. And, the Southern University, one of the drum majors, had made the trip down. The band did not come. And we ended up winning. I think it was like 49-3 or something like that. But the Southern University fans were just like, they were in it from the very beginning of the game to the very end. Oh, watch this here, player. We finna go on down here. We finna score this here touchdown. Give me that, oh, Southern spirit. Give me that, oh, Southern. Come on, drum major, play it, fire it up. Lead us in a song or something. Take us on down up here. We got the score up in here. And then, but they never, ever, oh, y'all lucky our band ain't here, boy. Let me tell you about the Southern University Human Jukebox Marching Band and tell you, and they had their cardigans on with the big old S on it. And the Southern University drum major guy, he had a nice big white one with a big old S on it. It was just like a lot of spirit, in spite of the fact that we whooped their ass. So it was kind of, I was like, y'all niggas never shut up. And I was just in 5th grade at the time. I was like, boy, these jokers never shut up. Well, it's like, they are like us. We talk like that. And ain't nobody supposed to come in the brag color. They didn't care if the score was blah blah blah. And at the end of the day, it was still all love. It was like, hey, let's dap up. Let's go get something to eat. Where can we get something to eat? My aunt came over to the house. It's like, yeah, y'all won today. XYZ, the band did good. But, hey, we still love SU. And every time it's always the same. I was in the band in 88. It was Nightmare on Elm Street, Nightmare on FAMU Street. That was the homecoming theme. That was my freshman year. And, coming into the band, we did the pregame show. And going into the stands and having the Coke bottles and the chicken bones thrown at you and all that other stuff. And then going up into the stands. And listen, so then FAMU goes and we're up 31-3 at halftime. And it's on Southern's homecoming. And it's like, this is like unreal. Like we are beating them on their homecoming, and to have that level of interaction there was just really, really cool. And then to come back the following, just other years, every year is just something different, but you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, in the 80s, football wise, yeah, and didn't have the success like Coach Pete Richardson did, and then he still kind of struggled. But you said something interesting at the end of the day. Yep, it's HBCU love, and we like to talk a lot of trash, like to beat each other, but we don't want it to go to the other extreme. And that's kind of one of the things I'm going to mention on my show Saturday, and it's pertaining to the bands. Almost altercation, Southern and Jackson State. And Kofi, you're a band guy. When someone's coming on the field or off the field, the opposing band, I think you got to have that little space. And
move out the way.
Yeah. And then even the PA announcer, it was interesting. They were, and I know since Coach Sanders is there, they have a lot of live endorsements. And the PA guy was like, Southern, just hold on for a second or two. We got to make some announcements. Well, those announcements went to about 3, 4, 5 minutes, and Southern just started playing. And that just whipped the crowd into a frenzy anyway. But we must not, we don't want any altercations. And, it's good to trash talk and all of that, but let's not take it to the extreme where you have physical altercations.
I agree.
What do you thought about the players, the SU players? I hadn't seen it, but I heard some players said some pretty disparaging things about Coach Prime and so forth. What's your thoughts on that?
Here's my thoughts. If I was a coach, it would be an issue of public apology. And one of the players that mentioned did issue apology via social media. But not only would he have to do that, it's just me, he would send a letter to Southern University, the coaching staff, Jackson State University, and the coaching staff, and then he would be suspended 1 game. But I'm not the coach. But it was disgusting. And again, I know it's rivalry week, but social media, it can hurt you or help you. And I couldn't tolerate that. And this is one of the players. He won the Buck Buchanan in the spring. That's the guy that you saw, and I got a chance, and I just got to be crystal clear about that. That in no way should represent Southern University as a whole and their football team. That's a couple of guys, and I don't know who filmed it, but that'll probably come out and maybe not. But yeah, that was very that's not a nice thing to do, not at all. And it makes a bigger picture. Social media, be careful what you send out. Once you send it, and even if you delete it, if someone clicks it, a photo of it, it's on there. But that was not cool at all, and that's how I would handle it. But again, I'm not the coach.
Right.
I
Okay.
don't want to. I hate to pile on. I would say this, Carlos, and the one thing that it'll be interesting to see for Southern fan base, and what I like about you is you keep it straight. I've seen two instances where I'm just watching from the outside, and I've seen how coach has handled things, incidents
Mm-hmm.
regarding players, and it's been real background. Like I'm sort of washing my hands. I'm not really stepping out front on accountability road, and that it'll be interesting to see if you mentioned the thing happening, but if I'd hate to, God forbid, a third incident happens, or let's just say another bad loss. You know what I'm saying? How will the fan base react to Coach Dooley? I think the honeymoon is slowly wearing off. And I think people are looking past some of these instances and transgressions and the lack of accountability from the coaching staff. I'm just curious to see what will transpire. Now, look, I think winning is a great deodorant. If Southern were to somehow win, make it to the SWAC championship game, and hey, pull off the upset of Jackson State, hey, I mean, God help y'all. I mean, it's like who knows what'll happen. But I'd just be interested to see how fan base will react if things don't go well or to continue to go in the direction that they've gone. So that I felt like I just had to put that out there. But let me ask Carlos as we get ready to wrap up the segment, give you a chance to kind of explain and let us know, how do you think Southern will win this game? I mean, we'll give you the floor. You know us, when it comes down to picking, we all know we picking FAMU to win. But we want to hear, what do you think Southern will have to do to have success against FAMU this weekend?
Well, kind of looking at the stats, it seems like, and you feel free, it's your show to correct me or disagree. You can. I'm looking at FAMU. I was just shocked that they're last in rushing the football. Even Jackson State, not last week, they have improved their running game, but they're mostly passing. So
Right.
for Southern, I think defensively they got to continue to put forth the effort that they did last week. I'm telling you guys, was the way the defense played wasn't indicative of that score. And offensively, though, here's the key. I think Bashawn McCray and Coach Dooley, they've got to bring their A game, because I'm looking at the stats. FAMU, they're behind Southern defensively, but kind of throw that out. FAMU is going to look at what Jackson State was able to do, and I think they're going to try to use some of the things that Jackson State uh, did. Now, are they capable of doing it? You guys can tell me more so. But I think it's going to be more about Southern. They've got to get off to a good start and a fast start offensively, and Bashawn McCray has to play well. And I want to see, can Southern, if the pressure comes, can McCray make the adjustment? Can Coach Dooley make the adjustment of getting the backs involved coming out of the backfield? And then special teams, it it has been solid all year, except for they had a hiccup last week against Jackson State. But I think the offense, the main thing is they're going to have to get off to a good start, and they're going to have to play much better offensively against FAMU.
All right. Well said, Carlos. Let people know the plugs. We'll definitely plug it again, but let people know how they can reach you, how they can find you, your show, and all your content.
First, before I do that, I appreciate you, Brian, Kelvin, and Kofi for inviting me on the show. I get a chance to listen to you guys when I can. Continue to do the great work, because you're talking not only FAMU but HBCU sports, and I love the volleyball. You were talking about the volleyball. That's something I can do a much better job on doing the other sports. The show, of course, is the Coles Brown Show right here on the Black Hawk Sports Network. Um, Saturday mornings from 11 a.m. Central Standard Time to 1 p.m., 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The show is on all social medias, outlets, Facebook, The Carlos Brown Show, Twitter, The Carlos Brown Show, Instagram, the Carlos Brown Show. I just tried to keep it simple. And of course, you can follow me on Facebook as well, Carlos Brown.
All right. Carlos,
Let's go,
always a
Carlos.
pleasure talking to you, man. I
Let's
love,
go,
like I said,
Carlos.
Carlos is one of the OGs in this game. I mean, so a lot of SWAC knowledge. Always love talking with Carlos and chopping it up. And look, while we were out enjoying these games as fans, Carlos was covering them back in the day. So that's why I love talking to Carlos. So, hey, continued success. Hopefully Southern has a good week next week, and we'll be tuned in, and I'll be checking you out Saturday. You know I will. So hey, thanks for your time tonight, Carlos.
I appreciate it. And look, I'm inviting either one of you guys to come get a FAMU perspective Saturday on the show, so you guys can discuss that. But
Gotcha. Hey, whoever's available, we got you. All right, Carlos. Thank you, man.
All right, take care,
guys. All right, hey, let's take a short break. Come back and get a few other notes in the books. Breaking news: FAMU women basketball got the dub. Win number 1 of the year. Great start for the ladies. We'll talk more about that on the other side. You're watching ONG Strike Zone. We'll be back in just a moment.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food? Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
This is Carlos Brown, letting you know that we're on the move. You can now catch the Carlos Brown Show beginning this July on the Black College Sports Network each and every Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern Time. That's 10 to 12 Central Time. Same time, new place. On Facebook at the Carlos Brown Show and Black College Sports Network. Online at www.mybcsn.net and on the BCSN app available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
Five-star backyards, Yellowwood brand pressure-treated pine. If it doesn't have this yellow tag, you don't want it.
Now, you can live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant-quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Welcome back to the ONG Strike Zone. Brian, Kelvin, and Kofi. And got to thank Carlos Brown for the last segment. Great conversation with him. Hey, we got a lot to touch on here and a little bit of time to do it. Let me bring up the first topic I want to get to here, sort of in a 2-minute huddle kind of format. Good friend Mike Reed has been has been out front trying to raise awareness, potentially, I guess, even say raise funds for the potential of FAMU, Florida A&M, putting in a bid with the NCAA to host a first round playoff game. Now, in order to do this, it would take $30,000 for the first round for a school to put in a bid. This is not a guarantee. This is to say, hey, we're interested. And I think there's a deadline coming up here of actually coming up probably real soon, if I'm not mistaken,
Next
Kelvin.
Friday, probably.
Yeah, for this to happen. So, $30,000 anyway. We talked about this a little post game. Quickly, what are your thoughts on this? I love Mike's passion for wanting to do this. You know, challenges, obstacles, possibility. Go. Let me hear him. Let's talk about it quickly.
So
What do you
so
got, Kelvin?
when Dr. Humphries was here, it was no issue. We plan for it every year. I don't think I know it's not in our budget. We don't plan for it. But when you have a team capable, it should be in the budget, athletic budget every year. Number one, but um, it is an advantage, and it doesn't have to be a money loser. It actually can be slightly profitable. The NCAA does get a lot of the money, and I would like to see HBCU specifically um, try to lobby and put more clout into getting their FCS counterparts to consider renegotiating, just like they did at the FBS level, renegotiating the whole funding of how the FCS playoffs work. Um, but it is what it is. It's an opportunity, and especially with this team playing in Bragg, we know what our record is. It gives us a legitimate shot, in my opinion, of winning. So it's worth. We've done it before. We've hosted a playoff game before in the '90s. And the way they do the first round now, where the top teams get buys, it's possible. So I like it. I'm glad he's putting some energy behind it. And I hope that the university gets behind it.
Kofi.
I mean, absolutely, we need to be going after this. This needs to gather momentum. Even from a postseason standpoint, if we had beaten Jackson State, we still probably would be hosting the SWAC championship game. So hosting a postseason game needs to be a part of the budget. And if it's not, then I find that really absurd and ridiculous. That has to change. In addition to that, though, just looking at that, because that was a question that we asked A.D. Smith at the beginning of the year, when it came to, hey, if we get the opportunity to host the SWAC championship game, what is the seating going to be like? And I think we kind of got a taste of that, just really with homecoming in terms of what our own specific needs are into the stadium, having to turn all those people away, people that wanted to come into the game, people that didn't come into the game, people that are around the game. And that's at least 10 to 12,000 people that we could have had easily into the stadium. At this particular juncture, especially at this particular point in time, we got to find a way to monetize that and convert those people into paying money to be in the stadium. The north end zone, in terms of moving that somewhere and utilizing that space to monetize that, I think at this point it's just absolutely necessary. But to Mike Reed's question, or stance and statement in regards to hosting an NCAA playoff game, we absolutely need to be looking at trying, at least making the attempt to do it.
I know one of the hurdles, and I saw someone just bring it up in the chat, is that particular weekend of the playoffs would be November 26th, which is the end of the Thanksgiving break. So potentially you're not going to have students. Potentially you won't have students there. or it's coming back at the end of the break because it is that Thanksgiving weekend. Um, that is probably something that somebody who's opposed to the idea will use and say, what kind of crowd will we have when a large fan base is out on Thanksgiving break or not there? So, but again, I just wanted to put that out there as sort of an obstacle. I would love to see it happen. I know he is pushing, writing letters and trying to push this to board of trustees members, to as many people as will listen. And I would hope that hey, this can be one final great call by AD Mike Smith. Hey, we know this is potentially going out his last couple of months. Here's a chance to hit a home run. Who knows? I think it'd be great if we can find a way to get behind it. So we'll keep you guys posted and see if what kind of road ahead happens with this. This upcoming game is senior night in Bragg. It's going to be the last regular season home game for 18 FAMU football players. I've got that list of names coming from the athletic department. These are the 18 guys that are playing their last game, as we know. 18 guys: Justin Cooks, Xavier Smith, Abu Bangura, Kwame Clark, Courtney Cox, Rashawn McKay, Anthony Davis, BJ Bowler, Jose Romo Martinez, Chris Fadul, Isaiah Land, Nadarius Fagan, Jalen McLeod, LaJawn Howard, Brian Crawford, Lamar Mullins, Kyle Jackson, and Traquan Butler. So 18 names potentially looking to be honored on Saturday as their final game. Some names obviously you're very familiar with. Others, unless you're really tied into the depth chart or a family member, you may not recognize the name off the bat. Yeah. Any guys, any comments on that? Anything you want to add or say?
Really important senior class. What they've contributed to FAMU football over these last 6 years, man, has brought back the historic tradition of winning, and they got a chance to go out, have not lost in Bragg since what, 2019 at the beginning of this year. So
2018.
18.
So I mean they've been outstanding, and there's some real stalwarts, some guys who've played a lot of football, both our special team kicker and punter. One of our best receiver, our best offensive player, our best defensive player. So those guys have put in the work, the blood, sweat, and tears, as we always say, man, and those guys got to go out with a big W. But I want to thank them for choosing FAMU, staying committed to FAMU, and bringing that tradition of winning back. Because when they got here, we were a losing program, and we had lost something unprecedented at FAMU. We had multiple losing years, like 4 or 5 of them. We're losing records, and up until that point, that just didn't happen at FAMU. You one losing season and get you fired. So thank you guys, appreciate you, love you, be there to support you.
Yeah, most definitely. Kylan had asked, did he see it? No, Jeremy Moose's name was not on that list. So yes, Musa will be back for another year, by all accounts.
Yes.
Definitely, those guys have done a great job in service to Florida A&M. A few All-Americans in there. Awesome work by those guys. Appreciate their work. So hopefully you guys get there early and be able to celebrate them. Okay, here's the rundown of SWAC games. Let's go through the rundown, fellas, while we come in here to the last moments of the game. Final score again: the women 62-58 over West Florida. It has been a long time since women's basketball has opened the season with a win. I'm talking exhibition or regular season. I went back at least 8 years and had to stop because I wasn't sure how far back I was going to have to go. But let's just say that's a big start to the season. And they start on the road, I believe I saw Monday at Florida. I just saw it was Allison Posey tweet. Yeah, Monday they travel down to University of Florida. So if you're in the Gainesville area and can get over to UF to watch the Lady Rattlers on Monday night, please go do so. I may see. That's only a couple hours from me. I may have to wonder how I can make that happen. All right, anyway, back to the contest here. Okay, SWAC games going on. We got a Thursday night game, fellas. Alabama A&M at Mississippi Valley State, Thursday night, 6:30 Central. That's 7:30 on the East on ESPNU. Valley still trying to get a win. Alabama A&M trying to recover from Magic City. Nope.
Not happening,
Not
Captain.
A&M.
Is Valley going to go winless this year?
Yep.
Wow. Damn. Will Vincent Dancy, will Dancy still be there next year?
Yes, he needs to be.
Okay. All right. I just thought I'd ask the question. Thought I'd ask it. Quick overreaction. Friday, big game on Friday. Friday Night Lights in Texas. Alcorn State at Prairie View. Man, doesn't get any bigger than that. 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central on ESPNU. Who do you guys like?
I'm gonna say this is an upset alert. This is a real upset alert because Alcorn has not looked all corny.
I saw that. Oh my God, what a funny video. I like corn.
Yeah. They haven't looked corny in a minute. So, you can't go Prairie View cannot go into this game thinking that it's a given that they're going to beat Alcorn. They've got too much history, and this type of game that Alcorn will come right down there and win this game. That being said, I think Prairie View is a better team. They're at home. They should win this game by 7, at least.
Who you got, Kelvin?
I'm going with upset, and I'm going with upset for this reason. Alcorn gonna run the ball. They got a good running game. Prairie View just came off a homecoming game where they had spent a lot of energy had to come back from behind beating Bethune-Cookman. Alcorn, I think, is better than Bethune. So, just same thing I said with Southern, I'm going to say about Prairie View. I do believe they're a slightly better team, not significantly better, but I think it's hard to get up back to back when you spend a lot of energy and motion in a game, so I'm gonna go with Alcorn with upset on that one.
Oof. This is tough, man. I almost feel like I have to pick Alcorn. This is my last shot at being able to pick my pick.
Did Bethune beat Alcorn already?
I think that game is next weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, that game is next weekend. So I'm gonna go Alcorn on the road. I like corn. Okay, Saturday slate of games. Grambling has a chance to win 2 in a row. They host UAPB, 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 Central, ESPN Plus. Who you got?
Grambling. They got a G bag on their helmets. They good.
Put that G. They got the G bag. They've been good ever since the G. What are the again? I will say this again. Worst motivational tool of the season. That gets the record right there. Worst motivational tool of the season. Alabama State, fresh off a win in the Magic City. They're coming to Daytona Beach. That game is on HBCU Go. 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Central. Hey, shout out to Charlie Neal and our man Jay. Oh my God, I had his name pulled up. Who did the play-by-play or color? for HBCU Go. Man, I'm bad. I shouldn't have started down the road without knowing his name. But anyway, shout out to the HBCU Go broadcast team who came and chopped it up with at Kelvin's tailgate post game.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was awesome, man. Real good guys. And so if you get a chance, if you get a chance to get the HBCU Go broadcast crew to come chop it up with you at your tailgate, you consider yourselves fortunate. But anyway, who you got, Alabama State or Bethune?
Bethune's at home.
Yes, they are.
I'm going to go with Bethune.
Ooh.
I think Alabama State has a slightly better team, but that was a big emotional game to go into Alabama, the Magic City, coming off of that, and then you're playing a team that you don't think is necessarily as good. And I know coach is preaching it, XYZ. They beat them last year, but this is a different Cookman team, and I think that they're trying to get some momentum going into the Florida Classic. So I'm going to say Cookman. Every year when people be ready to write my man off and get him fired and everything, he find a way to win 2 in a row. And then they be like, we'll keep him around another year.
Kelvin, who you got?
I'm going to Alabama State. I agree with everything Coach said, but I'm going Alabama State for one main reason. And I'm going to stay true. Outside of getting up twice for a game against an opponent who's dangerous, my other truth to that is who controls the line of scrimmage? Who's the most physical team? Bethune gives up too many points for me to pick them. I know they'll put up points, but everybody's seen how their best offensive output against Bethune. South Carolina State put 30 or 40 on them too.
Mm-hmm.
So because I don't trust their defense and their physicality in terms of the line of scrimmage play, I'm gonna go with Alabama State.
Yeah, I'm going Alabama State as well.
In a close one, though.
In a close one. Yeah, I like that. I'm going Alabama State as well. Hey, Montre, I real quick, I saw Montre talking about HBCU Go didn't show the whole halftime. FAMU had a 17, 20-minute halftime performance because they were the only band. I mean, look, HBCU Go probably is thinking we'll show a 10-minute length of time for the halftime show. They can't show the whole 17, 20 minutes.
You're absolutely right. For those who don't know, when it's a media TV game, you got certain blocks locked in, and you can't go, more than 8 to 10 minutes without going to your breaks and stuff. So
I will add,
I don't know
why. I don't know why we haven't figured this out. Halftime should be streamed on your Facebook feed. Hey, FAMU Athletics, stream it on the. Just stream the halftime show. There's no reason why that halftime show cannot stream on the Facebook feed, and people can go watch it live wherever they are, and boom, it's there. Anyway, I'm just full of ideas today. Anyway, let's get back to it. Another big game before we get to Southern Fam. Jackson State traveling to Houston. 23,000 traveling to Texas. Coach Prime said nobody's going outside the hotel. All right. Everybody's staying inside the hotel except to go to the game. Texas Southern, they pushed Jackson State to the limit last year. Had a lead going into the fourth quarter. A win by Texas Southern by your boy, Kelvin. Andrew Buddy. A win by your boy. I can't do it as well as your boy, Kofi. Not even going to try. Texas Southern moves into the front runner seat, I think. Who do you like in this contest?
Yeah, they pull it out. Yeah.
Jackson State, Texas Southern. There might be more Jackson State fans there than Texas Southern fans. I do want to preface that, though.
Man, I want to say Texas Southern.
You want to, but
I want
you can't
to
do it.
But I don't believe it. What I will say is this, and it's a thing that I said all night. Jackson State done had a couple of weeks everything big, you know, and so forth. And Texas Southern seems to play their best games against the best teams. And so this one is a potential tricky one, right? They have some pieces. If I trusted Texas Southern defense to show up the way they did against the two big wins against Jackson, then I think it's an opportunity deal. But until somebody knocked them off the perch, I can't do it. I can't predict it. It's JSU,
Can't
baby.
do it. Can't do it. Won't do it. Who you got, Kofi? By how many?
Jackson State by 21. But I think, you know, like Kelvin, you know, Texas Southern shut out Southern. Jackson State shut out Southern.
Correct.
Andrew Body and Shadur were trained this summer by the same QB coach. The difference is going to come down to the execution and the mistakes. Texas Southern has to prove themselves in moments like this.
Right.
Jackson State has already done it. Texas Southern has not. And so it's because of that, if I had to bet my life on it, I'm going to go with Jackson State. But Texas Southern is capable of winning this game. They've just got to, maximize these moments and continue to fight like the Dickens. I think that they could be right there in the fourth with the opportunity. But to me, I feel like Jackson State's going to have to help them out a little bit and give Texas Southern some opportunities that they haven't done necessarily all year. So
here's something I will say on that game real quick. Because of what JSU does defensively, they have to be careful. Andrew Body is the perfect quarterback for going against what JSU does. They send that pressure, they better get him. If they miss him, strike up the band. I'm interested to see how that plays out.
I feel like Jackson State is like that pitcher that throws 95 to 100 consistently, best in the game, and you got to catch him when he makes a mistake.
It's really, to me, I think the coaches in the SWAC have just made it too easy, and
yeah, but Kofi, the one thing about the coaches, and I know you brought this up earlier, the players still have to execute.
It's the players. There's no way they played. Let me let you finish. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say the players are the one who sometimes put the ball on the turf, throw to the wrong guy, miss a block, miss a tackle. So I mean, the scheme, I don't doubt anything you're saying about the coaching. Jackson State has the edge coaching wise, but at the end of the day, the players still got to play. Bro. And so if Jackson State makes a mistake or two, like they have made a mistake or two in almost every game, all Texas Southern has to do is take advantage of the opportunities when they present themselves. That's all I'm saying.
Texas. Okay. South Carolina State beat Jackson State last year. And they beat them with the same. I know Jackson State, quote unquote, didn't come with their A game. But to me, it was a typical Buddy Pugh. It was a typical Buddy Pugh game.
They got out-coached.
Yes.
Coach Prime and his staff got out-coached.
Game. Typical Buddy Pugh game. I believe that if Jackson State played A&T, that would be a tough game for Jackson State. I believe that if they played Tennessee State again, I believe it would be a tough game. I just believe that offensive-wise, against us, they know what we're going to freaking do. It's kind of like, we're so predictable. It's like they know what we're going to do. They know where you're going to throw the ball. And when you know that, you put your people in position, there's very little margin for error. which means that you're either going to have superior players or superior coaching. So there you go. All right, on to the next game. Go.
All right. Okay. So I think Jackson State by 10. That's it. I think Texas Southern covers. So if you're looking for points, take Texas Southern. Okay. Final game, of course, Southern FAMU. That's a 6 o'clock kickoff. Eastern 5 Central. That's on ESPN3. Obviously, we're all picking FAMU. A close game. Massey says it'll be practically an even ball game within about a point. I think the point spread may be within about 2, I would imagine. So let's go bold prediction and score outcome. Bold prediction and score. Go, Kelvin.
I'm gonna go with FAMU 28, Southern 21. And a bold prediction. Let's go with a special team. We win it last minute drive like we did it with Zay again.
Are we trailing at that, or is it a tie ball game?
Tie ball game.
Tie ball game. You got FAMU 28-21. Tie ball game. All right. I like that. What you got, Kofi?
I'm going to say the energy. I'm going to say the FAMU defense is the difference. And I'm going to say FAMU 21, Southern 10.
Nice.
21-10.
I was thinking 10 too. I was thinking defense holds them to 10 as well. I'll go FAMU 24, 24-10 FAMU. I got special teams touchdown. We should have had one last week. This time, no mistakes on the return game, and we get one. Jamarie gets one this week. Or better yet, how about Zay? Give me Zay on a punt return touchdown on senior night. How about that? Senior night, Xavier Smith, punt return touchdown, put 6 on the board, touchdown FAMU, 24-10. All right, folks, that's going to do it for tonight. We appreciate Carlos Brown for coming in and joining us. Again, congratulations to our FAMU women's basketball team getting their first win of the season. Got to be feeling good going into the Florida game on Monday to start the season. Men's basketball will be hitting the road, traveling to Oregon. So Northwest Rattlers, those of you in the Pacific Northwest, make sure you get out and go support our Rattlers. I know my friend the Kingay will be out there leading the charge out there in the Portland and the Oregon area, Washington, that whole area. Get out and support. And then on Sunday, make sure you guys get to the Lawson Center Sunday, 4 o'clock. Our Lady Rattler volleyball team, they need you. Final 4 home games, and we need to finish the regular season unbeaten. You look like you were going to add something and jump in there with something, Kelvin, real quick. What you got?
No. I'm good. Let's go Rattlers.
Good. Go Rattlers. All right. Shout out to everybody on YouTube. All of you that we saw over the weekend, whether we missed you, whether we saw you, whether we forgot your name, we apologize. We love you. We thank you for watching the show. Continue to beat us down. Remind us when you see us. We get better and better at this every week. And thank you guys for following us. Shout out to producer Mel for hanging in there and producing tonight. You can always find the Black College Sports Network on the BCSN Pod Zone, our show on the BCSN Pod Zone, everywhere you listen to podcasts. Hey, Alexa, play BCSN Pod Zone. We are on Amazon Music as well as Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, and Google Podcasts everywhere. Go download the Jericho Broadcast Networks app on the Google Play and Apple Store, MyJBN, MyBCSN. Please follow us at ONG Strike Zone, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Rattlers, be loud, be obnoxious, be safe, be smart, be cool, though, and enjoy the weekend. Southern Week, beat SU, And when you're out in those streets and you see a Jaguar roll up to you, just put 2 fingers up in the air and say, back up there, Jaguar. This Rattler, we strike, and strike again. Good night. Peace out.